What will an opera singer who has not had any exposure to video games in over 30 years think of video game music today? Will she be able to guess characters from the music alone? Will she understand plot points without context from games like Bloodborne or Warframe? And what songs will we both discover and like as we listen to new music I've never heard before? Let's find out as I guide my friend Hillary Ginther through different stages of emotion through video game music. The theme of this particular section is inspirational music, music that galvanizes us, that gets us like going, excited. This is called Particio, the Merchant, and it's from a game that came out last year called Octopath Traveler 2. Wow, so that was your first taste of video game music ever. It was an interesting first pick. Well, what do you think of that?
I wasn't expecting to be taken to like a late 80s, early 90s, like I'm getting it done montage.
Yes,
And do you know what I mean?
Sound, yeah.
It made it seem a little sad and alone with the saxophone, but also like motivated at the same time to like, right now things are tough, but they're going to get better if I just do all these things I need to do.
Did you like that piece?
It made me happy. It reminded me of like if Family Guy were doing a spoof of like an early 90s movie. Is that bad? Because I knew we were listening to video game music, I immediately in my head there was like a cartoon character.
If I recall, Particio, he does go on a journey. I guess that music is him like having achieved something positive in that journey. So like that is like the culmination of the sort of arc that he takes. Whoa.
Oh, I love that. I was a really big fan of like the sort of like Middle Eastern soundings. I don't know like what language that was in or if it, I really liked just like the vibe, like Lord of the Rings mixed with Game of Thrones sort of situations. It would look like something I would be into playing.
It's interesting because we talk a lot about that primal scream in opera and did this feel to you like it was like the epitome of screaming?
The way that I could relate to it a little bit when it first started, I was like, what does this remind me of? My Carnegie Hall debut actually was this Dan Forrest Jubilate Deo, and it was like chest yodeling, like very much like like that sort of thing. And I loved it. You hear more of that actual like person's like voice. It's more connected to a speaking voice than, you know, the typical opera. How can we resonate to the back of the 4,000 seat house sound?
Did you like that piece?
I loved it.
All right, let's move on to Anger. This song is called The Super Gore Nest. I've never heard it. From Doom Eternal. You surely know Doom in like the public lexicon, right?
I think that I played it as a kid or something.
And you love heavy metal.
I do, yeah. That's kind of what got me into opera anyway, because they're like super extreme forms of whatever their genre is. Yes. That's giving me 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
That part specifically.
Shit.
That was fucking rad.
One of the comments was like, you can't have PTSD if you are the traumatic event.
If the game is like going around and just like killing a bunch of shit that's trying to kill you, you need something like that to give you like the fuck it sort of like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I'm going to show my age here, but it was definitely giving me like dashes of Corn mixed with 9 Inch Nails. Mick Gordon, like shout out to that dude.
That was 5 minutes, but it went so quickly because there's constant like tonal shifts, even though it's like the same like heavy metal. Like there's actually a shocking amount of nuance in that.
I would agree.
Were you expecting that in video games?
I'm not surprised, but I'm happy to like actually put that music with a game now.
Next up is this awesome song. It's called Tenebre Rosso Sangue. Ultra Kill is actually kind of very cool because you're a robot and you go into the pits of hell and you have to fight Gabriel the Archangel.
Piano.
The organ in here, it's just stupid. It's so
it's like a Halloween movie.
Yeah. It just makes you want to Hold on, here comes the drop.
So that was supposed to be angry, right? Yeah, it was, for me, it was giving like if Phantom of the Opera had an OnlyFans. Like if the Phantom actually got it in with Christine, like that's the song that would have played.
Oh, yeah.
No, that was rad. It was like, but also like really, really like intricate and complicated organ music, like Rockstar Bach.
That's the thing. And sometimes I think about this. I think about if these guys were like around, like Mozart, Bach, like some of these luminaries, and we listen to these, I think that Bach would like shit himself. He'd be like, yeah.
I mean, they didn't have a lot of these instruments that we have now to add to what they were trying to portray. So who knows what kind of composers they would be today with all of the different instruments and styles we've had. Oh, it's awesome. Yeah, I totally dug that.
In that case, I was going to move on, but I want you to check out this theme. It's called Extras, and the singer is Molly Daisy. Really nice name. Nice person, Molly. She's very nice. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Wow. I think that's Molly?
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
Molly.
All of it, Molly. Totally different song now.
Yeah, where did he go?
It's freaking Amazing Grace. That's like, sounds like it. Is that nuts? That's
so much just happened.
I know, it's like getting smacked in the face. It's crazy. Molly is so versatile.
I felt like it was like the Bohemian Rhapsody of like, plus a bunch of metal shit in there. Like, oh my god, that was an awesome journey.
I think that's what makes video games so interesting to me, is that there's just so much versatility on display, and like there's no rules. And so you're just like constantly creating new things.
You're right. Like there are no rules, and it's like obvious that people know that when they're writing this music. Like now we're going to go into this completely different direction. Like I wouldn't even know how to classify that song.
Before we go to sad, let's go to opera. This is from Final Fantasy VI, Draco and Maria, and it's actually, so it's literally an opera scene. So let's check out the aria di mezzo carattere. Now this is not what it sounded like in the original video game. This is obviously like the concert version. Do you think that that's like a realistic opera quality, or do you think it veers more towards musical theater, like, you know, the delineation there?
I think that it's more legit musical theater sounding, which, I mean, is still, are things still produced by opera houses, things that I would still sing. Do you know what I mean?
The whole thing is really interesting. It's a 12-minute piece. You know, you can watch my video on it where I dispel any myths about Draco and Maria, and so can you. That's my call to action for everybody watching this video. But seriously, like, there's actually a ton of stuff. You know, there's a ballet scene, there's a lot of Lucia in here, and then in the end there's a trio which is very Rosencab, so it's sort of fun how we get, like, you know, Lucia sextet, so it's like sprinklings of opera, even though it's not in an operatic style, even though there is operatic singing in it. Let's go to sad. So this is one of my favorite songs. It's also one of my favorite games. I've put in about 100 and some odd hours into this in like 2 months. This is Smiles from Duran from Warframe.
That was pretty. That was really haunting.
In the game, we're helping this character, sort of absolving them of any wrongdoing, and so by doing that, we free them. Does that come across in the music?
That's exactly. I was gonna say that it sounds like kind of like the aftermath of this person doing something that felt like very wrong, and they're like grieving over it, but it was like for the greater good. That's what it sounded like to me. Like they're having to reconcile that there was a purpose.
There's something about the sweeping melody line there with the lower strings, especially, where it feels like an undulating wave of like almost like being embraced. The theory and process behind creating pieces of music is incredibly complex, but the emotions that they try to showcase are very like not complex, very like in your face.
That's very clear, because it's kind of like the opposite of new, I don't know, classical music composers these days who are trying to make it maybe a little too cerebral and a little not just like, here's the emotion that I'm giving you, but like, oh, it's your job to do work to understand how to interpret this sort of thing. That's exhausting for an audience.
You're right that there's a process of academic writing that I think video game music sort of avoids those pitfalls because they have to aid in telling a story, which is very rooted in like what we understand, you and I, storytelling, and how to share a story and how to get it across that lip of the stage so that 4,000 people in a theater can say, oh, I relate to this somehow. Especially for us when it's like for a 400-year-old piece of music, how is an audience going to connect to that?
I really enjoyed like the Asian, I don't know what instrument that was. It's because you said a wave. It made me visualize somebody like very focused in their own world doing Tai Chi. Do you know what I mean? And like the sort of like body waves that they go through.
This is another sad song. This is Garamond the First Hunter.
Man, that was like lots of pain and grief in that one. To me, it sounded like an innocent person died senselessly, like didn't need to happen. And there's a lot of like anger and pain surrounding that. Oh, I just gave myself a thumbs up. Look at me.
The things that you do lead to something, and then somebody that you respect and care for is actually like, hey, you fucked up. And now you have to pay the consequences for that.
I liked how there was obviously like a melody that was, it started in the low strings and then it was carried into the higher strings. And I was like, oh, it's like different voices. It's being passed around to these different voices in the orchestra. And then real voices happened. And I was like,
yeah. And it plays with each of the parts, and each of the parts reiterate it, which is so satisfying because then it cuts even deeper when the chorus comes in, because then it feels really guttural, right? Yeah, that's a really good song to represent grief. Should we go to happiness, calm, enthusiasm, or inspiration?
Let's do calm. Because what I was thinking about when we were listening to that last one was that the thing that's really exciting about the pieces that we've been listening to me, it's not just like, this is what's happening. Like you have to do something. And all of the music is really like, it's sounding like motivational, mission oriented. So I'm curious to see how calm is in a context of video games when there's like a task at hand.
In the case of this first piece, Poke Village, this is from Monster Hunter.
This is giving like beach vacation.
It's chill.
It is very chill. And I assume that like breaks in games aren't necessary. So it's not all like intensity all the time.
Especially in a loop like Monster Hunter where you're killing monsters that are twice the size of you. So when you come back to the village, it's a village theme. So you come back.
Oh, yeah.
Peace. Calm is an interesting one because calm can mean so many different things, and we can be calm and still feel other emotions. But that one really, I never heard it before either. And so like that evoked a feeling of calm, respite, almost joy in a weird way because it's very like peaceful.
It felt like safe, like there were probably people around.
There's another piece that's similar, but very much much more melancholic. It's called Tizanarkand.
For everything that was going on in that video, it seemed awfully calm. An apocalypse happening in the video juxtaposed against the chill piano music.
When you're experiencing this song, it's near the final moments of the game, and you're looking at the broken city that you used to be a part of, and there's an entity in the game called Sin that wipes out humanity. It's like a giant tidal wave monster. Listen, trying to explain Final Fantasy is complicated. I haven't played Final Fantasy 10 years. It's a really powerful moment, but it's interesting that we can have calm in preparation of and in the face of great adversity.
It's like calm before the storm, I guess calm after the storm.
And I think instrument choice plays such a big part in that too, because like using the piano, obviously there's orchestrated versions of this now, but like what was most striking to you about like the piano? Because for me, I hear the counter melody between the left hand and the right hand.
I think that the sound of the piano invoked the emotion of sadness.
Do you still think it's calm, or do you think it leans too far into like sadness?
I think that it's a mix of the two. It was calm, but it wasn't without issues. I think that it does lean more sad.
Let's wrap up here with some happy. I've been listening to this piece a lot. It's called Gusty Garden Galaxy from Super Mario Galaxy.
This is operatic.
I want to know why. You said that was operatic?
Yeah, I know it's Super Mario, but I could envision a scene at the beginning of an act where a bunch of people are like at an airport and they're all like about to go to different places. It kind of reminded me of Flight a little bit, to be honest.
I could totally see that. That's such a valid, I never even thought about it that way, but that's so true. The bright, exuberant energy in this, it's really hard to not enjoy.
I was like, what is this reminding me of? There were parts of it that reminded me of Bernstein's Mass too.
I've never heard Bernstein's Mass. Really? It reminds you of Bernstein's Mass?
There are so many different styles of pieces. Like every single number is a different style. You have to have Broadway singers, opera singers, all sorts of stuff. It reminded me a little bit of that because like when I did it was with the Philadelphia Orchestra and there were like the orchestra members were like, oh yes, I finally get to play my electric guitar in the orchestra.
What's the takeaway for you from, an hour of video game music?
I think that I anticipated there being like classical music and video game music and like heavy metal music and video game music. I didn't expect for there to be pieces that explored like 6 different styles in the span of 5 minutes. Like, that's really innovative. It is the kind of music that makes you be like, do I want to play that game now? Do I want to like escape my world and be in that world for a few hours? I like doing that with TV shows and movies and stuff like that. So,
well, you were talking about opera and Mario, but I wasn't going to do this one, but I think that we really just should, because this is like the definition of opera. So, and we have an opera singer on, so how are we not going to? So this is the main theme from Super Smash Bros. Brawl. You said you wanted opera. I'm getting you opera.
he's getting Les Mis.
Yeah. It gets better. Isn't that so good?
Yes. Oh my gosh, it's epic.
That's the thing. That's epic opera. I really do think that Nintendo has like some sort of monopoly on happy music, because if you listen to anything, Nintendo's always just so excited.
It definitely was like, could be like a big Act 2 opener. Here comes the chorus.
It's nice though, because there's a sense of excitement in knowing that like the thing that you and I have worked so hard to do, to find relevancy in, has existed in and then also crazy fun fact is that this and Tuzanaka and the Draco Maria, the opera scene, is all written by the same guy, Nobuo Uematsu. And so it's like also seeing his development as a composer in the classical era. Like, I wish he was writing operas.
Right. And like there could be so much great crossover there, because just because like I don't know video game music, but I know opera music. Now I'm thinking like, oh man, how badass would the Guerra chorus from Norma be in a video game?
Thank you, Hillary, for coming on and like letting me dish about video game music. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
I learned a lot. It's always, we a lot of times we get very one-track minded on what we're doing, and it's good for me to know like what's going on in the video game music world too.
Exactly. And thank you for watching us dish about video game music. And if you want to check out Hillary, all her links are in the description and her bio and all that good stuff. And we will see you later. Bye, everybody.